be active, well, all that kind of things. And because we only just started, we don't have a lot of products yet. We have a couple of books, but the rest has to be developed. But before that, I was a graphic designer for 33 years. And I started that out of a negative viewpoint, which in hindsight is a pity, of course, but that was how it was back then. I was a teacher for 11 years, and I love teaching. I still do. But I didn't love the school. I didn't love my work environment. How do you call it, the director or the head? The head of the school. He was horrible. So I lost my feel for the whole thing.
Right.
I just didn't know what to do else, because I had only had an education to be either a teacher or be a visual artist. And back in those days, it was imprinted in me that a visual artist couldn't live of the work that he or she made.
Oh, wow.
So I was, I was afraid to do something else, of course. My parents were rather talking into me that I should keep teaching. Teaching is a secure job. I had a son of 8 at that time. They didn't actually support me at that time. My husband happily did, which was the main thing, most important, of course.
Right.
But at some point, something happened at school, and I thought, this is it. Paf, I'm going to resign. I did it on the spot. I had to fill in a bit of time, of course, but and I started with my graphic design studio because a friend of mine had done so herself as well, and she had convinced me that I was good in it. So that was really great that I had that support.
Right.
And, well, I'm a lifelong student, so I did follow all kinds of courses during my whole entrepreneurship. But it worked out pretty good. So
wonderful.
Yeah.
So, what kind of graphic design did you do, or do you do?
Yeah, well, the situation in Holland is, of course, a little bit different from other countries, and especially from the States, mm-hmm. I guess. Dutch design is rather business-like, and it looks different than what I see from the things that are coming from other countries. When I started 35 years ago, there were no computers. Well, there were some computers, but I think young people can't even imagine a time without computers.
Right.
Computers. I needed a whole lot of space for my tables and my paint and my markers and everything. So I did everything by hand, and I'm glad I learned it that way, mm-hmm. because later when the computer was introduced, it was a big help for me to develop my craft.
Right.
I think I'm reasonable tech savvy. I love technical stuff. So I was one of the first graphic designers that had a computer. So I had both ways of working, mm-hmm. Both advantages of those kind of methods. Right. So but that wasn't actually your question. Sorry, your question was for what kind of work I made and for whom, of course. But the introduction was because in the beginning it was mainly corporate design, logotypes, brochures, books, all the things that an entrepreneur needed to present his or himself. And I work both for very small companies, for solo entrepreneurs, but also for big companies. And I could do that because I had at some point I had a staff of 3 other graphic designers and some, how do you call it, administrative.
Yes, assistant. Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So, do you draw?
Yes.
Wow. So behind you, is that some of your work?
No. No, that's of a couple of persons that I really admire. No, before this interview started, I was looking around because this is my workplace. I was looking around and I was thinking, there's no work of me here. It's all living space.
Wow. Well, I'd love to see some of the stuff that you've done. That would be awesome.
Yeah, well, if you look at my profile on Facebook, I made it to a goal this year to make a drawing each day.
Wow.
So and I post it there, so you can see all kinds of stuff. What I like most of my life at the moment is that things don't have to be a certain way, because I regard myself as semi-retired.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be well thought through, and it doesn't have to be all that perfect. So that's such a relief.
Right. That's an amazing freedom for an artist like yourself to be able to do that. So that's awesome. So the 3 questions I always ask is, who do you serve? How do you serve them, and why? So tell us about that.
Yeah, well, as I said, at the present company, we are just starting. We focus on 60 plus people that are willing to, and that are having the desire to live healthily and to take care of that themselves, because it's very easy to put all your stuff in the hands of somebody else.
Right.
But there is so much you can do yourself. That is our target audience. And at the moment, we are posting on our Facebook page with things that that are. Now I'm going to stumble.
That's okay.
Yeah, at times I'm losing all my English. I'm living in Spain. I have to speak Spanish. I have English neighbors. I'm Dutch. Okay, I'll start again. We have 5 focus points. You nourish yourself or you nourish others. You exercise because you want to be active and be able to play with your grandchildren, for instance.
Right.
You socialize because friends are awfully important, especially when you age. It seems that a lot of old people are very lonely, so you have to take care that you have a kind of a tribe before you are so old that you can't do it anymore.
Right.
You have to contribute in all kinds of ways. That can be that you do voluntary work in your neighborhood, or like us, we are trying to live without plastic, which is a horrible task in Spain, because the level of commitment is really low here, so that's
Right.
a pity. But yeah, we are trying.
What's the fifth one? You said
it's 5 points, and the last point is you have to celebrate. You have to celebrate life. You have to celebrate what you accomplish. So it's nourish, exercise, socialize, contribute, and celebrate. That are our 5 main focus points. And within those areas, we write on all kinds of stuff.
right. That's amazing. Those are very, I mean, anybody at any age could use all of those focus points in their life.
Yeah.
So I think that those are great things that you concentrate on in your business. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So other than giving value and information, what do you see your business doing in the future as far as those 5 things?
Yeah, sorry. I was too quick. Well, we have a plan to interview people. Well, a little bit like you are doing now. So
right.
That's why I was so eager to join you in this interview. We want to interview people, but we also want to try. But that will be probably harder because everything has to go through internet or
Right.
because we serve an English-speaking audience, and we live in Spain. So we want to see if we can have some kind of round table conversations, so that people can exchange their experiences, their goals, their fears, their accomplishments, all that kind of things. And we might be able to do other things as well, but that's still a little bit in
planning
development.
Yeah. So that's awesome though, because there are so many different ways that you could help people within those focus points.
Yes.
So, I mean, your business is just getting started, and I know how overwhelming it can be to launch a business, especially because this is more like a passion for you and your husband because of your health scare. And it's, I mean, at any age, people are going to struggle with those 5 focus points. And it's just wonderful that you're concentrating on the population that doesn't necessarily get, help in that aspect. So I thank you for my grandmother. I thank you for my mom who's 70. Those are people that are near and dear to my heart. And we want them to be around for a long time, but also happy and healthy.
Exactly.
That's wonderful. So your target population is men and women?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And that's definite. That's I don't know the word. Sorry, but it's a choice. Because I've always been a feminist. I've done a lot with other women, and until a year ago or something like that, I just couldn't work together with my husband. We both had our own company. We worked in the same building, but we couldn't work for each other's companies because that was always getting wrong. We always ended up in a fight. But when you age, that's a big advantage of aging. You get a little bit milder and
yeah, more patient, more understanding.
Exactly.
Sure.
So that's why we are so happy that we can now do it together. And because we are men and women, it's logical to focus on both sexes.
Right,
It
right.
turns out that women are more occupied with the big questions than men are.
Right.
So when we advertise, for instance, on Facebook, you can see in the statistics that it's mainly women that look and that react and that ask for the information.
Right.
And so, but still, I think it's very important that men as well are aware of what they can do, because there are so many people that are just saying, "Oh, I'm retired now. I'm sitting in my chair. I drink everything I get. I eat everything I can lay my hands on, and I do nothing." And I think it's touching me so deeply, because you can age, but you also want to age healthy.
Right.
So yeah, that's. That's the point where we want to focus on most.
That's wonderful. And I feel like having both perspectives, because women are going to take that first step, but then their husbands or, significant others, they may see the progress that their wife or whoever is having, and then they want to be involved as well. So to have somebody on your team like your husband who's going to be able to, focus on men, relate to men, and speak to them directly from an experienced point of view. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it is. And his way of looking at things is way different than mine. I always try to make a kind of connection with my own experience, with my own past, with things that happened, and so on. But he's a scientist. He will look up all the information and read everything, every letter, and then make a story out of it. So that's a very different method of seeing things. That's interesting.
Yes, very interesting, because I've learned that I'm not a detail-oriented person. I like big picture. I like creating the frame, and then letting other people fill in that frame. I'm good at seeing the big picture, but I'm not good at details. So to have someone on your team who is good at the details and wants to be, detail oriented is great. I met someone recently who's going to probably be the person who builds my funnels. I know how to build funnels, but I am so critical of myself that it's hard for me to build a funnel and put it out in the world, because I feel I'm like, oh, the color scheme's not right, or the font isn't right, or, all of that, those little minutia details that I'm like, oh, so then I just have somebody do it. And I'm like, oh, wow, that does look great. Awesome. Let's run traffic to it. So we're, you have to learn what you're good at and supplement what you're good at with people that are good at the stuff that you're not.
Yeah, well, you're right. And if you can do that now, it's a real big advantage, because that was my weak point all the time that I was a graphic designer. I thought I was the best. And that was at times, of course, difficult for my staff because, you shouldn't have a too critical boss. But if you are so used to do things on your own, it's very difficult to let somebody else do their thing. But it's so important if you want to succeed as an entrepreneur. So very good of you.
Right. And I think that that's part of the reason that entrepreneurs get burnt out, is because they're trying to do absolutely everything all by themselves. And even though there are tools out there that could help them, they don't want to relinquish control over things. And you just can't do everything yourself. You just can't. It's not possible. And if you're doing everything all by yourself, then everything is not getting done to the best of your ability. It's just not possible.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I read a beautiful kind of a quote accidentally yesterday about a solo entrepreneur that was doing everything herself, and she said, I was the boss I would never want to work for. I thought that was exactly wrong.
Right. Yeah. So you definitely have to be careful of that. And it's a slippery slope for you to be the stop at the funnel, at the end of the funnel. If it all has to come through you, then you're producing this much because there's so much that has to be done. And I finally reached out, like I said yesterday, to someone, and I said, I've been building my email list for like 5 months now. And I have a huge list, and I haven't even tried to sell them anything yet.
Because nice goal, but it could be better.
Right, because who knows how much money I could have been making all this time if I had just pulled the trigger on my funnel. But I kept looking at it and tweaking it and saying, oh, it's not ready. Oh, I need to do this. And then finally just yesterday, I interviewed somebody and said, you've got to help me. You've got to be like, no, it looks fine. Let's run traffic to it. Because imperfection and procrastination are the same thing. Because what you're saying is, oh, it's not perfect, so I'm not going to put it out there. And it's just giving yourself an excuse.
Exactly. Yeah.
To not be vulnerable. So, so yes, I completely agree with that. 100%. It's very hard for entrepreneurs to let go of the control. So, all right. So let's see. What was the last question that I was going to ask you? Oh, tell us about how you knew you wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, well, I didn't. I just wanted to do something else. And like I said, especially my father, he was so afraid of me getting into it. The thing he said to me was, oh, girl, you are never going to make it as a businesswoman because you are too honest. Can you believe what kind of a thing was in his head about doing business and being an entrepreneur?
Right.
And later they were so proud, so they told everybody that I was a solo entrepreneur.
That's awesome.
That was hard in the beginning, but I think if you keep being authentic, if you try to believe in yourself, I know for women it's always difficult to believe in themselves. I had that same struggle, and I guess most women have. but do believe in yourself and be the best you can in your how do you call that, in your craft.
Right. In your niche.
Can also be being a trainer. It
right.
doesn't necessarily have to be a craft with you, which you do with your hands.
Right.
But be the best and be authentic. That's very important.
Right.
So, and I think that I managed to get where I was at some point by doing just that.
Right. Because I believe that the people who are meant to be your customers will find you, because they look at you and see themselves. And that starts the trust. Because if they see in you, if they're saying, okay, well, if she can do it, then I should be able to do it. So I'm going to follow her journey so that on my journey, I feel like I'm not alone. So my friends that I've met are in the same exact industry as I am. You know, on the surface, their customers look like my customers. But my customers have different struggles than they do, than her customers. So I feel like something else that makes it difficult for solopreneurs is the comparisons that we do. You know, we look at that person's business and we're like, oh my gosh, they're having so much success and, you know, making so much money. And then you think, okay, well, what am I doing wrong? Well, you know, why isn't that my business? And they could have been working for 5 years and you just didn't see those 5 years, right? So who in your industry, in your niche, because I can't think of any person or business that does what you do.
About aging, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I follow Karen Selmanson. She is American, and I think she's a bit younger than I am. But she has been posting blogs and things for ages. So I'm looking at her, and I did, because in the beginning when I was looking at who are my competitors, I did have a hard time to find anything.
Right.
And of course also because I changed countries, I changed language, because I used to communicate in Dutch and now I'm communicating in English, and I changed all kind of things. So I have a feeling I'm starting all over again, which is great.
Yeah.
Because I do have the knowledge of all the other stuff. So I did find some more websites, but I don't know them by heart at the moment. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's
more people that are doing what I do.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Right.
And you know, it was one of the main things why we decided to have this focus. If you search, if you Google on aging, of longevity or whatever, it's all about disease, dementia, being not counted on anymore. It's so negative. Right. And it's not necessary. So that's why, we want to try to have a very positive outlook.
Right.
Great. That's to wonderful. Be older.
Yeah. Oh, Hannie, it's been an amazing time talking to you. I appreciate you taking the time. And what I'm going to do is do the recording, and I'll reach back out to you so that we can just, do some further talks. Okay?
Yeah, sure. It was really great that you wanted to interview me. So thank you very much.
You're welcome, Hannie. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. You have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.